Hey, I'm Ryan from Red Panda Recording here in Brooklyn, New York. And I'd like to say hello to all you watching the replay of this on YouTube. Tonight, we've assembled a group of some amazing and thoughtful songwriters and performers from all over the country. They're going to share their original songs with you, and as a group, we'll discuss some of the aspects of songwriting as well as the broader subject, creating songs and music in the changing context of what we're all living through right now. For those of you who are not familiar with a Songwriter's Round or a Songwriter's Circle, the basic idea is a group of songwriters get together to share songs and workshop ideas. Typically, these are intimate, safe spaces where writers feel free to experiment and try new things out while receiving feedback from their peers. Tonight's format's a little different, obviously. We're gathered here together virtually, and also we're offering you, the audience, a little bit of a behind-the-scenes view into the thought process that goes into songwriting. Each performer tonight has been asked to perform one original song in response to our theme, Changing Context. Neither I nor any of the participants know what the others are performing, so we will all be experiencing and responding here in real time. We'll look forward to hearing your comments. If you have any specific questions, please leave that below, and we'll try to get the songwriters to answer those questions for you. And we'd like to thank all of you for joining us, and especially to our songwriters who have graciously donated their time and talents to create this virtual community for us to share in tonight. So let's meet tonight's performers. Hey guys, how we doing?
Hi.
Good.
Hi.
Okay, so first tonight, we have Paul Weinfield. He's going to be joining us from the East Village of Manhattan, and he's also my co-host for the evening, and very graciously helped to put this evening together. Paul is a New York City-based singer-songwriter, author, and meditation teacher whose folk-based, lyrically driven songs call to mind Leonard Cohen and Bob Dylan, but also the tradition of spiritual poetry in the vein of Rumi or Thomas Merton. Paul, thanks for helping to put this program together. Before we go and meet the rest of the songwriters, is there anything else you'd like to touch on or share with us?
No, it just is really good to be here. It's wonderful to have everyone assembled and just, to share together. Yeah, it means a lot to me. Thanks for doing it.
Great. Thanks, Paul. Next up, we have joining us from Los Angeles, California, it's Brett Farkas. Brett is a frontman, songwriter, session guitarist, multi-instrumentalist, and music educator. Since relocating from his hometown outside of Detroit, Michigan in 2003, he's carved a distinct and original reputation within the LA music scene. Brett performs and produces under his own name and as the leader of the rock and roll band Boys School. Brett's working credits include touring and recording with soul music icon Solomon Burke, singer-songwriter Amy Mann, pop star Rihanna, comedian Maya Rudolph, and as a member of the band Lord Huron, he received a gold record for his work on the album Lonesome Dreams. His playing is also heard on the score of the Steve Carell film, The Way, Way Back. Brett, how we doing?
Everything's good. Glad to be here.
Good
Thanks
to see
for
you.
inviting me.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
You too.
Next up, we will have Nicky Francis joining us from his home studio in Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Nicky is a writer, performer, visual artist, and music producer. He's lived and worked in New York City for the past 15 years. Nicky Francis, what's good, my friend?
Everything, Ryan. I'm really happy to be here and happy to see everybody, and I'm looking forward to taking home a big chunk of the prize money tonight.
Well said. Next up will be Emily Jeane Brown. She's also joining us from Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Since early childhood, Emily has found a deep connection with expression through singing. Growing up in Northern California to the soundtrack of Joni Mitchell, Carole King, and James Taylor, she began experimenting with songwriting that was heavily influenced by the Laurel Canyon folk tradition of the 60s and 70s. After devoting many years to acting, she's returned to songwriting, drawing from her early influences in conversation with Americana, soul, and indie folk genres. Emily, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm really happy to be here, representing the ladies tonight.
Yes, thank you. The HR department will be calling in the morning.
Yeah, really. No, but all jokes aside, I'm very happy to be here. I'm excited to hear everyone's offering tonight and share with you all.
Great. And after Emily, we are going to hear from Danny Musengo. He is performing from a discrete location in Denver, Colorado. Danny is a songwriter who's currently on tour and in the studio with his band Gone Gone Beyond. They're slated to release their new song, Coast, this Tuesday, April 14th. Danny?
Actually, I'm good. And I had, I think I wrote that date wrong. April 16th. It's going to be next Thursday, April 16th.
Thursday, April 16th. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put the correction in the... Okay, and after Danny, we'll be hearing from Matthew Crosby down in Music City, USA, aka Nashville, Tennessee. Matthew is a Nashville-based singer-songwriter and a veteran of New York bands Easy Tells and the Majorlines. Since 2014, he's toured and recorded with the Dutch-American roots rock band The Common Linnets. His most recent solo EP, We're All Still Friends, Volume 1, was released in 2019. Matthew, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right, Ryan. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Sorry, I feel like that bio is inadequate now that I've heard everybody else's.
Well, you know, it's very you. That's what I'll say. And our last performer tonight is going to be Barton Stanley David. He's joining us from Dallas, Texas. A fifth-generation Texan, he spent his formative years as a musician in the live music city capital of the world, Austin, Texas. He landed in New York City in 2009. His debut album, Blue for East Broadway, was completed with the help from famed indie producer John Agnello, whose credits include Sonic Youth, Dinosaur Jr., many others. In 2017, Barton's cover of the Cars classic Drive was featured on NPR's Acoustic Cafe, KFOG's Acoustic Sunrise, and Radio Woodstock. Barton is currently in the studio recording his next full-length album, Crest. Barton, how you doing tonight?
Good, Ryan. Glad to be here. It's great to see everybody. I know a lot of us had performances and other things scheduled, so it's nice to have some kind of an outlet. It's great to be here.
Yeah, thanks. And since this will be viewed in the future when this is going to be recognized news, unfortunately, just before we started recording this, the news of the passing of the great John Prine came before us. And so we just want to extend condolences to his family and obviously all of us as songwriters and music creators. He's somebody that casts a long shadow, and it's somebody, I guess, he'll be sort of in our hearts and in our minds this evening. So with all that said, Paul, why don't you kick it off for us?
All right. So I thought I actually wrote this song this morning, and I don't usually like to sing songs so soon after I've written them, but I figured you're a forgiving crowd, and also it's a round, so I look forward to your feedback. In the dark days of winter, when my life seemed so bitter, I thought of all the people I loved best. You were always present, memories so pleasant, but I see now that my mind needs to rest. Oh, your mind needs to rest, your mind needs to be still, your mind needs some time to be alone. So I keep my body busy, walking miles around this city, till I find it in my heart to let you go. Oh, to love you was not easy. I always felt uneasy, and my nerves, they were rattled from the stress. So afraid that you would leave me, So afraid you would deceive me. I see now that my mind needs to rest. And a mind needs to rest. A mind needs to mourn. A mind needs some time for it to grow. So I try hard not to worry or be in such a hurry till I find it in my heart to let you go. Oh, the days are getting warm now. New things are being born now. But that old pain keeps rattling in my chest. And I'd like someone to speak to. Oh, I wish that that could be you. But I see now that my mind needs to rest. Only mind needs to rest. A mind needs to be still. A mind needs more time than it might show. Well, I wish I could be stronger, but I keep my distance longer till I find it in my heart to let you go. Well, I wish I could be stronger, but I keep my distance longer till I find it in my heart to let you go.
Nice. So what's that one called, Paul?
So the mind needs to rest.
It was really good, Paul. I just wanted to unmute myself and.
Yeah, sorry, you're all unmuted.
Oh, wait, yeah.
I apologize.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Thanks, y'all.
So, Paul, what when you thought about the theme for tonight, what made you think of that song?
Well, I think actually the title line I something that I had in conversation with Danny, so I want to dedicate that to him. And you know, I've been thinking a lot about well, say it simply, it's just that people don't talk enough about what a mental health disaster this is, you know, and people aren't necessarily physically doing much, but their minds are racing a mile a minute, you know, with the news and with all kinds of thoughts and anxiety. And I don't think we talk enough about the toll that takes on people when their minds aren't resting, you know. So it's one of the things I talk about a lot in my meditation classes, but I just feel like in music, there's also a moment and a possibility to, you know, to let your mind rest a little bit. And it's like a breakup song, you know, so there's that too. And I know a lot of people have been going through a lot of really romantically challenging things with the quarantine. Either they're, you know, cooped up with someone that they might not be getting along with, or they're far from someone that they want to be with. And it's a lot of racing thoughts. So that's kind of what that's about.
Yeah, I really like the simple rhymes in the verses.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, they were cool.
It's a really beautiful sentiment, Paul. Like I have to say that I have heard this earlier, I think right after you wrote it, probably this morning. But I read the lyrics before I actually even heard the song, and it kind of put my mind at rest this morning when I heard it.
Mission accomplished. Good.
Mm.
Paul, I was wondering, when you're do you have to be in that mind state to write a song like that, or is part of the getting to that mind, like, does the writing breathe?
You know, I'm kind of a titles guy, you know, as a songwriter. I keep a book of titles that I'm working on, so I can't say that this title is new. I've had it kicking around for a long time, but one of the things that I do is I always just kind of just scan all the titles that I have, like when I'm going to write a song, and I just feel in my body like what speaks to me, you know. So down the list, and then I was just like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Even I usually don't know why it makes sense,
But then I was like, okay, now put it in context with what's happening, right now.
But yeah, anybody else have any questions or comments for Paul?
I really feel New York in that song
Sorry.
We miss you,
in
Matthew.
a cool way. Yeah, I miss you too.
Was the harmonica always part of that tune?
No, that's about half an hour old. Yeah.
Perfect.
I was missing my backing band, so
That's great.
thanks, brother.
Did you just write that today, or did you work on it over the course of the week, or?
No, I just wrote it today. Started
Oh,
this.
wow.
Yeah.
Do you
How's that
usually
work?
pick out a song in a day, or part of a day?
Well, I'm doing this thing right now. I'm doing 30 songs in 30 days, but usually they're just like really half-assed, and then I come back to them and see if there's anything good. But I just felt like pushing myself a little bit today, and just I was like, well, if I play it live, then it's a song, right? So
Yeah.
That's right.
It's official.
yeah, it's official.
So Brett,
Hey.
what do you have for us tonight?
I haven't written a song in a minute, so I figured I'd pull out an old one that I haven't been singing lately. So and I took it down a whole step, and I just like the way it sits with my voice a little bit better. Anyway, so it's called Esperanza, and I wrote this about 7 years ago. My friend Espy had her 30th birthday, and she was calling it her double quinceañera, which is a quinceañera is a 15th birthday. She threw a good bash, and then she had my band play. So I figured I'd write her a birthday song for a double quinceañera. It's called Esperanza. Esperanza, Esperanza, for your birthday, do you plan to change into those high heel shoes and dance into the sunrises mañana? Will you wear that pretty dress? Do you feel like a princess? Would you do your makeup fancy like the day you celebrated your quinceañera? Esperanza, Esperanza, you're a woman, you don't bother with the selfish love of callow boys that may show up inside your code of honor. Your heart is on your sleeve, dressed in a rosary, and the 15th candles blow out, keeping all your sins a secret from your father. Esperanza, such a beautiful stanza. It's no wonder your friends look up to you. There's loved ones all around, they watch you wear your crown, 'cause tonight's your quinceañera numero 2. Tonight's your quinceañera numero 2. Yeah. Esperanza, Esperanza, Esperanza. Does the sunset catch you breaking down and thinking that you're living for tomorrow? Well, come and dance with me. Maracas play the beat, and the chambelanes kiss the lips of damas from West Texas to Chicago. Esperanza, such a beautiful stanza. It's no wonder your friends look up to you. There's loved ones all around, they watch you wear your crown, Tonight's your quinceañera numero 2. Tonight's your quinceañera numero 2. Tonight's your quinceañera numero 2.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
That was very joyous.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Killer mariachi moves.
Yeah.
Is that your normal style, or was that a one-off? In the
Oh, that was a one-off. I was just trying to write an old one of those just kind of
yeah.
kind of 50s kind of country Mexican kind of tunes.
Yeah.
You nailed it. You nailed it.
I set that party off, that double quinceañera too.
Number 2.
Yeah.
I hear some Mona Lisa in there a little bit, like a little
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
40s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Harry Belafonte.
Yeah. It's cool. The great phrasing.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. And I was trying. I think I was trying to write Fernando by ABBA too. So yeah, I don't know. I was just getting into that real sentimental vein. And for a dear friend, and yeah, and I did some research on what quinceañeras are all about too. So that was fun.
So Brett, did you find yourself kind of in the context of like what's going on, thinking about? I mean, it's great because it's like this beautiful reminder of, you know, these like simple things in life that we enjoy that like right now seem so distant, you know. So I'm just wondering, like, is that like the song kind of, you thought of it in that, or just?
Yeah. It's just been nice to like have some time to sit around and not feel like anything really has to be accomplished at all. And just to practice old songs even, and just keep working on them. I feel like I'm always kind of learning something about playing that song, and just I wouldn't say it's an easy song for me to sing, so I'm always trying to kind of like learn how to sing it like one of those classic old singers that can really sing. So but I don't know, I've got yeah, I just wanted to sing something that was kind of uplifting and fun and light, and that's about it. I don't know. Yeah, it was just a good opportunity to pull an old one out. And since I haven't really written anything lately, I've got plans to sit down and try and chisel through some things, but it takes me I can't do the song in a day thing yet.
Me either.
Yeah. So
I'm just kind of curious, like, in this time, like, who's those of us that have sat down to try to create, if you like, has it seemed harder? Does it seem easier? Like, I know it's maybe been more disruptive to somebody's schedules than others, but what is any personal experiences like trying to write songs right now? I mean, Paul, you're doing one a day, but any the rest of us?
I've written a couple, but like I found it really useful right now. Everybody's at home, and as a songwriter, it's been really cool. Like it's the people around the world, you know, sending me tracks and parts and producers working on stuff. So it's actually been a super productive time for me because everybody's home. But I suppose I haven't really wanted to start a song from scratch since this all started, you know, like it was kind of clean up my desk kind of time and get songs recorded. But it's been really creative, you know, just maybe not a song on my tongue right now, you know?
Yeah, it's hard. I haven't really like put in any focused time into trying to write, even though I told Paul that I was going to do the 30-day thing again, but I haven't been doing it. I don't know, there's a weird kind of, I feel like some sort of unspoken difficulty without even having tried to do it, talking about what's going on right now. Like it's a little bit difficult to put into words. So I don't feel that specifically holding me back, but I definitely haven't felt sort of like a creative outpouring. I would agree with Danny that it's more of like a sort of like cleaning up time for me with projects that I was in the middle of and then I'm trying to kind of tie up loose ends.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was thinking about the other day, I can't remember if it was the Times or the New Yorker, but like in the aftermath of 9/11, somebody wrote a piece and it basically was saying the death of irony and saying how, you know, essentially equating what had happened and the change that we went through and like the death of irony. And obviously that didn't really pan out, but I feel like right now there is not a death of joy, but like a hesitancy of joy because there is so much fear and it's real. It's not like an imaginary boogeyman. But I guess has anybody found like trying to like struggling with that, like feeling guilty about, you know, finding joy in things or like writing like joyful, hopeful things?
I think, I don't know about guilty with joy, but at least for me, there's kind of some self-talk that it feels like anything you would have to offer artistically in the moment is smaller than the moment.
Right.
Who am I?
Even though I really don't think that, I don't know. I feel like right now is song, you know, like is like, we should do it more or something, you know, like Vietnam.
Totally. I just mean that it's kind of, there's at least with I mean, I have a kind of thing in my head where it's like, well, you've got everybody's attention, everybody's home. If you're not producing and, you know, if you can't write now, you know, when can you ever? But I think that's a false. You know,
I think that it amplifies everything. Like for me, it's like sort of like any insecurity or hesitation that I had creatively or in terms of like career things or projects that was already going on for me has just been kind of like blown up. It's like all just right there. But at the same time, it kind of neutralizes everything because suddenly all that really matters is whatever I'm doing at any given moment because everything is kind of becomes micro and macro in a much more sort of explicit way. So I understand what you're saying, Brett, right?
I'm Brett.
No, you're Brett. Sorry. I don't know everyone's name. Barton. I understand what you're saying, Barton, about like feeling like how could anything I create meet this moment? And at the same time, I also understand what you're saying, Danny, about like everything is sort of, it's time for everything to come out.
I don't necessarily feel like stuff that you make right now has to even reflect this. I think True. Personally, I feel like this is a time to sit down with, and there's literally no well, it depends on what you focus on, but there's no distractions. You just have nothing but time and personally, yeah, I have been doing a little like cleaning out the desk and working on some older songs and stuff like that, and just trying to kind of like get some things done that have been sitting on my computer for a bit. But I also personally feel like I just want to make like some fun new tunes, just like straight up roller skating jams and just some real stupid lyrics that are just about having fun and dancing and chasing girls and whatever, and just loving stuff. And I don't think it has to be about like how woe is everything right now and how I'm feeling heavy. I don't know. Maybe that's the older I get, the less I want to hear heavy music. I just want to listen to the Ramones mostly. So, and the more their lyrics mean so much more.
Yeah.
But that's just me. That's kind of where my head's at.
Yeah. Well, I think we all that's kind of the thing, is we all process this stuff differently and react to it differently. I know, now we live in the age of social media, and it's like, if you're a songwriter or a performer and you're going on whatever, Instagram or Facebook or like something like we're doing, and it's like, oh, look at everybody's doing this, and they're doing these concerts and they're releasing stuff and da 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 da. Like, if there's a real human aspect of like what we're going through as just people, and like on top of that, like if there's this pressure of kind of what Barton was saying, like we have all this time on our hands, we should really be maximizing it. But I mean, I think it's important we all kind of have like little different perspectives on it, because that's reassuring to me, is that like we have permission to kind of go through this on our own way, our own sort of feeling. Nicky Francis.
My instrument has become Logic, so I'm an unapologetic studio person, once again picking up a real instrument. So that's this will be interesting. Thank you for having me. And this song is called Cold Steel. I wrote it a little while ago. More than well-worn colors running through my veins, old soul, new cut, just moving through the pain. They go out and bunch up, they get fucked up just the same. Everyday adventure, every day is the same. They'll hold it against you. Do you know what to do? It's something you gotta feel. You take my warm heart, you beat me into cold steel, cold steel, to cold steel. Be leaving all the time, better have my money. Don't give them boys a try, they just waiting around to have a reason why I'm just waiting around. But I'm getting mine, I'm getting mine. The hold against you, do you know what to do? It's something to feel. Take my heart, you beat me into cold steel. It's something you gotta feel. You take my warm heart, and you beat me into cold steel, into cold steel.
Ah.
Yeah. I love that chorus, Nicky. That's killer.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love how you go from minor to major from the verse to the chorus. It's like really heart-wrenching.
That's my move. Minor to major.
Good move. Good move there.
He made it up.
I started it.
Nicky, I got a question for you. So talk to me a little bit about the minor to major, that idea, but like, so sort of the music underneath kind of changing tone. and kind of the interplay that has with the lyric in terms of, you know, is that something you think about, like shifting the chords to change the meaning of the words, or how do you think about that?
You know, I probably don't think about it enough. It just, you know, I'm just looking for like tension and release usually. So if it's not happening with like the vocal melody, or if it's not happening rhythmically, then I guess I just naturally reach for like a chord change that lifts somewhere. I guess it's kind of subconscious, to answer your question.
Yeah.
Am I thinking of something else, or is this pretty dramatically different as a version from the way it's been before, right?
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
it's almost like a new song.
It totally changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I recorded it and everything, but like I said, I haven't been playing like guitar and like doing like a lot of the music I've been releasing has been very like beat based. So it's just been sitting, and yeah, when Ryan and Paul asked me to do this, I was like, oh fuck, you know, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna like play a backing track and like rap? I don't think this is the setting for that. Maybe, but so when I like went back, this was like the last thing on the docket. So but you know, it felt appropriate in some ways.
What's the song usually sound like? You said it's more beat oriented, or
no? I was in a band that Matthew and Ryan were in too at one point. It was much more like Americana, guitar rock, petty kind of vibes, like a straight ahead kind of rock tune with like a Steve Cropper guitar lick for a bass line. And I don't know, like it just I write stuff and then I just put it to whatever like music I'm making at the time. So these lyrics sort of survive. You know, I'm sure all of you have written like a million songs, and like 1 out of every 8 or 9, you're like, that's not a real song. I just put it together well. So, you know, the ones that aren't that tend to survive, I think, and can kind of jump, you know, to a different genre, you know, or whatever. It's just like boring as a rock and roll tune. So like, let me try to do something different with it. See what's more impactful.
Yeah.
Danny, looks like you're ready to go, bud. You wanna play something?
Yeah, sure. This is a song I've never really sung before, but I wrote it, and so I think it's pretty apropos, and yeah, it's called Marigold. You got a heart that could light up the sky. See you way out in space, feel it deep inside. You got a face that almost makes me cry. And if I only get one wish, I'll give it to you tonight. I hope I see you in the year 2030, just as pretty as you was when you was a kid. 'Cause after all the trouble of a thunderstorm, the sun came out again, and it was Marigold. Oh, it was Marigold. Oh, maybe it takes a whole bunch of lies to ever really find our place, to ever really get it right. Maybe There's a whole lot to lose, so you can do what you like. You could do what you should. I hope I see you in the year 2030, just as pretty as you was when you was a kid. 'Cause after all the trouble of a thunderstorm, the sun came out again. The sun came out again. The sun came out again. And it was Marigold. Oh, it was Marigold. And it was Marigold. And it was
Yeah.
Oh, guys, a little messy. Sorry, guys, but I really haven't done it myself before. But yeah, it's I wrote it for somebody who sings in falsetto most of the time, a lot of the time, or at least I use his voice in falsetto most of the time. And so, you know, the original is, if I could say, it's like, the sun came out again, and it was Marigold. But I can't sing it. So I wrote it, but I can't necessarily sing it.
Well, it sounded great.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, my mind was going crazy. I was with like, wow, what to do with this? It's like a producer's playground. So much space.
I've heard the rough of this, and it's great. It's very different, and the 2030 is a really great hook.
Yeah, I write mainly for producers, you know, like to send to producers. So it's sort of never really about whether I can sit and strum a guitar and sing it, but it's it was kind of about this though, you know. I thought back in the day, before Corona, it was really about climate change and just being like, you know, I hope you're just as pretty as he was when he was a kid, was like the thought of, you know, to the earth. But I suppose going through Corona, there is a certain hope that it'll turn out just as pretty as it was before, you know.
I like that lyric of 2030. That's it's real.
Yeah, totally. Hopefully.
Hope it doesn't take that long.
2030. You know, funny enough, like 2030 was the initiative of the company that hired the song. So it was that was the first lyric of the song, and like how to create sustainable systems by 2030.
Wow.
And
cool.
But I never gave him the song after all. Anyway, the artist took it. So, you know, we have it now. So like Mel just sang it, and we didn't feel like selling it after all. But like that was kind of the original plan. So yeah.
And I always think the songs are like, they're like the first sounds that people make after the apocalypse is over, and they're all like coming out of like the debris. And so when Ryan said like this idea, and I was like, well, you could take any of Danny's songs and it'd be perfect for like, you know.
Apocalyptic love songs are sort of what I do. So it was like this is perfect for me. I'm like, all my songs are already about coronavirus, sort of.
I'm going to ask a question to the group about the idea of writing for somebody else versus writing for yourself, or writing for another purpose versus. Anybody have any thoughts on that? As far as like, do you find it easier, it harder? Like, how does that work for you guys?
I always feel like, oh, sorry.
No, go.
I was just going to say, I always feel in theory like it should take some kind of pressure off, and then it never does. You know, beat my head in just as bad.
I have to say, when I found out I could write for other people, it's so exciting to me, because I've been like, you get a whole new set of paints, you know, every single time. Like, I get to go through their catalog and listen to their voice and their sweet spots and demeanor. And it's like, for me, if I'm just writing for myself, I feel like it'd be like if you gave me 8 primary colors and a 24x17 canvas every single time, and I got to figure out how to like make something special. But like, if somebody, you know, to me, part of the joy is making something really sing, you know, and making the best of what that person does. So it's like an extra challenge to it. And, you know, my goal is always for them to feel like they wrote it the minute they sing it, you know, like it's right in their range, it's right in their sweet spots, you know, all in their sweet spots. So to me, that's the joy, is writing for other people. Like, obviously I don't like singing my own songs very well, but I really like writing for other people, as long as they're good. I mean, I don't know, like, if they can't sing, that's not going to be much fun, but like, yeah, if you have a nice instrument to work with, it's great.
Has anybody ever kind of in a Dylan kind of move created a character or an alter ego to try to write like either in a different genre or like different, you know, maybe things that you wouldn't write for yourself? Anybody ever done that?
I bet Nicky Francis has.
No, that was just my life.
That was Chris Gaines. That wasn't Nick. It looked
I do it every day when I go to an advertising agency.
I think all my songs kind of, I'm just into so much different music. Like, all my songs kind of move around, and I don't know. I think I set out to write different styles of songs. I don't know. I find it hard to actually stay in kind of one genre. So I just try and work myself on trying to copy each style as I don't know. Yeah, I'm just kind of always jumping around anyways. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
I do a lot of commercial music stuff, or have, you know, over the past few years, and most of it's not vocal based, and that's been really like fun and interesting to sit down with someone and be like, well, do we know how to make like a, you know, UK grime track? I don't know, let's listen to some of them. And then we're like, okay, cool. And like, you reverse engineer shit, and you learn so much about, you know, those sounds, you know, whether it's, you know, a songwriter thing or like a hip hop thing or whatever. And like, all of a sudden, you know, like you were saying, Danny, about the toolkit or whatever, but I feel like you can like get those things, you know, at least from production, and you know, you get to experience them, and it changes your DNA a little bit, because now you know how to do this thing that you didn't know and you would not have known. You know, it's totally someone else's expression. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, Emily.
Hi.
Hi.
All right. It's me.
It is. You have a nice setup there.
I know, I'm feeling very fancy right now, and I'm just embracing it. This is not normally my reality, but my partner has lots of fun toys, so musical toys.
No judgment zone here.
So yeah. All right, this song is from just about a year ago, actually, and it's called This Guitar. Oh, this guitar I've had since I was 15 years old. I got it as a gift from my uncle. I played it all night long until my fingers were sore. Till Christmas time was over, and I played it even more. It wasn't long after I wrote my first tune, after wandering the backyard through the living room. Had dreams of being famous because singing gave me pride. Though a voice told me to trust it, I was scared down deep inside. And I still don't know where does the time go? And I still can't tell if the magic of my past has served me well. But I'll sit here with this music for a spell. Oh, this guitar was hidden in its case under my bed. It would gather dust for months till there was joy to be discovered in the strumming of the strings, in the playful dance of poetry opening to sing. Well, no one told me stop it, no one showered me in shame, and nobody discouraged me or tried to cause me pain. But for years my sweet guitar would sit abandoned on the shelf, and the greatest pain was knowing that I gave up on myself. And I still don't know where does the time go? Does it slip away in the words that we are too afraid to say? In the silence of the songs we never play. Oh, this guitar feels sturdy inside of my hand. There are patterns on the fretboard I still don't understand. The body is made of cedar and it smells like memory. And engraved upon the headstock is a picture of a tree. Now I play it every morning just to get out of my head. Cross-legged by the window at the corner of my bed. And I sing for all the time I spend wishing time away. 'Cause the holiest of holy, the time I have today. And I still don't know where does time go? Before the time I'm here, I will whisper very softly in your ear. There is beauty on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, really nice.
Thank you.
Oh,
That was a long one. Thanks for sticking with me.
It was nice to just sit back and listen to it. Like after, like I was like, okay, cool. I'm in the car, I'm going. Very
Going
nice
for
to
the
sit back
journey.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I sing for all the time I've spent wishing time away is my new favorite line
Yeah,
ever.
it's pretty good.
It's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's very
I
Joe.
like the Sheryl Crow kind of phrasing in the verse, and then the like Joni Mitchell chorus. It was like,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm
Damn.
down for all that.
I'll
Sorry,
take that.
Barton.
Of course, is very Ladies of the Canyon.
Very influential for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what I wanted to do for this, and this song is kind of like about my, I guess, my journey into sort of just self-acceptance and just being willing to do things for the joy of it, as opposed to trying to find an end result, and just being truly comfortable, or not comfortable, but truly committed to process and presence, and not being attached to outcomes. So, so that's something that I think in this time resonates for me. You know, going through my days, and like, I think it's impossible not to acknowledge. I mean, I just feel incredibly lucky to be able, like, you know, I think sometimes I'm in conversation with people and we talk about like, oh, we have all this time and, you know, what do we do with it? And it's like, there are so many people right now who that is not the reality for them. And they're, you know, still working from home and they have kids, or they are working outside of home and they have to go, you know, work in a grocery store every day or whatever it is. And so I just feel I feel like it's such a privilege to be able to, you know, figure out what to do with my time and try to stay present with that.
Here.
Kind of a in the egg question, but did you have the metaphor first and then sort of wrote the story around it, or did you have the story and then kind of figured out the metaphor?
I feel like neither one. I think I just started with the idea of writing a song about my guitar, because it's the only guitar I have, and it's the guitar I've had my whole time that I've played guitar. And for me, the guitar like kind of represented, I guess the answer is the metaphor, but I didn't think of it as like, I'm going to create this metaphor. I just started talking about the guitar because for me, I've always been a singer and I've always felt like more confident with singing, and well, I mean, more confident is an understatement. I felt like singing was the thing that I knew how to do. And sometimes my perceived lack of proficiency with playing would get in the way of feeling comfortable, like collaborating with other musicians or like pushing myself to put myself out there with music stuff. So for me, like embracing whatever it is that I can do on guitar and not letting that be a limiting factor was sort of like where I started with the song. And then from there, I just kind of like tried to follow the journey from when I first got it through to now and what it means to me. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
So anybody else ever had a temporary or sort of prolonged break from music, or where maybe its meaning changed in your life?
Maybe from like an aspect of it, you know, like for me, I spent Matthew, Ryan, we all came to the city kind of at the same time. I mean, you guys still perform more, but like I haven't really performed, you know, my own music in almost 2 years. And like, that was after like a decade of doing it monthly, basically. So, and that really was like weird at first, but that energy goes somewhere else. Like, it's been really fun just having the pressure off and like playing in the studio. So, you know, I don't know. I think it's good, you know, it's good to like, if you need a break from something, to take a break, and usually like you'll come back to it when you're ready. And not to be too long-winded here, but it's been interesting, this sort of pause that we're in, this sort of crazy moment in time. I kept waiting this past year. I'm like, man, I just don't have the inclination to go out there and like put a band on stage and call people up and try and get them to come out. And like this, now that I can't do it, like immediately I was like, I can't wait to do a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or play with some other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys see that Nick Cave is always like writing responses to letters to them? Did you guys see that he did a thing about like being an artist in the time of Corona, and I thought it was really good. He's basically saying that like it's a time for like living in the question of like what are artists even for, and it's like it's not the time to really answer that. It's the time to just kind of sit with it, and some people the sitting with it is just like making art and seeing what happens, and for some people the sitting with it is just being like, you know what, I'm not going to touch anything unless it calls me, and
Yeah.
like we kind of can only understand this backwards, right? So I think it's going to be a while before we understand exactly what we're doing, even right now in this call,
My grandma sent me an email that said, I hope you're okay, doing okay, honey. You should maybe keep a journal, because when you're old, people are going to ask you all kinds of questions about this, and you're going to have so many stories. And it just like really put it into perspective for me, hearing that from her. And I haven't, of course, done that really. I've been kind of just like running around, but it seems like a good thing to do.
Are you finding too that the days run together in a way that makes it kind of hard to delineate?
Yes.
That's why I feel like I need to be keeping a record, because I just need to keep myself straight,
Yeah. Maybe we just all need to get a little less straight though,
Yeah. I mean, for the past year and a half, I mean, I don't really do anything except write songs. So like, it's been interesting, because this is literally how I've lived like since I decided I wanted to do this, like just how I do it, so I'm sort of always by myself, doing this. You feel the pain of the world, I think you feel the fear of the world, but I think like that has its own particular vibe to it and vibrations, and like it has its own melodies to it, and like I can kind of, you feel them in the air right now, and I don't know, it'll be interesting what songs come out of this time, like I can't wait to hear, I can't wait to hear where they come from and what they sound like. But I think that is sort of in times like this, I read that Nick Cave thing too, and I sort of, I don't know, like artist is the eye of the king, right? Like, you're supposed to be kind of giving the objective opinion of the craziness that's going on. And I feel like I don't know, like to me, it kind of, when this happened and it was like necessary jobs, you heard about necessary jobs and like construction workers and blah, blah, blah. To me, it was like, it really kind of drove home this thing that I was doing for just like a year and some, that like, this is a thing, like this is the time to be almost like a reporter would be out on the street right now. I feel like it's sort of take the temperature. Like that's what an artist does. Like take the temperature of the world and like see what that feels, at least around you, and I feel like, this is a time that a lot of people feel really similar, and it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Matthew, so real quick, if you could talk to some of us, because I think a lot of things have been lost in the last month or however many weeks it's been, but in Nashville, you guys were just dealing with the sort of aftermath of the tornado that blew through.
Yeah.
And I feel like for a lot of us, that kind of fell out of the news cycle pretty quickly. But how is the city recovering from that?
I think, I mean, it's, there was what was really cool right after that happened was there was this real great kind of like coalescence of everybody came out to support everybody and go help out, in the areas that were hit, and volunteering and that like it was about a week of that before it started like getting kind of, maybe that's not a good idea, like stay home kind of stuff. And but you know, the attitude was good. It's surreal though, because that it's like that terrible devastation just happened, and then it's just, you know, it was like on to the next thing.
Yeah,
it was strange. It's very strange.
So
it's like it goes through your head a few times a day, like, oh my God, right, there's this, you know, that happened also.
Yeah, well, it's that idea of everything's been put on pause, I guess, even cleaning up from disasters. And
yeah.
So what
Truly.
what song do you have for us tonight?
Well, this is a new song. It's well, it's an, I should say newly finished song. It's kind of bouncing around in there for a while, and it's called "The Wait Is Over." And I'm gonna try. I'm playing with a pick, so if you can't hear what I'm saying or singing, just yell at me. Bad seed, don't see the soon to be letting up. Truth's what you choose, is what they seem to be selling us. As it's been so shattered, it's never been so hard to believe. Oh, me and all my friends, it's like we're just now waking up. And watching fine lines turn into lifetimes, years fly away from us. Sooner or later, it's gonna get old. Reaching around in the dark, something really can hold. But the wait is over, if you want it to be. Yeah, the wait is over, we can live so differently. Who knew, misconstrued every side of it. Just thinking, what kind of hopeless mind could be buying this? Nobody will to fall into me. What would you give for some air you could breathe? Cause the wait is over, if you want it to be. Yeah, the wait is over, we can live so differently. Oh yeah. Oh, the wait is over, if you want it to be. Yeah, the wait is over, we can live so differently.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't quite know how it ends yet.
Woo!
That's a hit.
Total hit.
Oh man, yeah. Top 40 pop hit.
That little falsetto part is rocking, bro.
Yeah.
Oh yeah? I
More
just
of
thought I
that.
had to switch it up somehow.
Oh, it's great. Bring that in early.
Okay, cool. Noted.
I really love the rhythm of the melody in the verses as well. It was unexpected and really nice.
Oh, cool, man. Thanks.
I was just gonna
Yeah.
say I really like the verse. The verse is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right
they
on. Okay.
really love.
Yeah, that actually the phrasing, there was a similar quality to like in Brett's song actually in your verses, like that.
Maybe that's why
Yeah.
that's why I liked it.
I had a friend one time who he was a jazz musician, but he said that Willie Nelson was the greatest jazz singer of all time. And you know, the way that Willie kind of floats the phrases. That's I think both of you guys had that a little bit of that quality in the songs you played tonight.
Cool.
Cool.
I loved it. It was
Thanks.
so it made me feel really good. Like the song, the vibe of the song is so
Oh, good.
feel good, even though it's like about something really kind of like, you know, not heavy, but kind of heavy.
Well,
I mean,
Yeah.
it's about like opening into that possibility. It's like about, right? I mean, but I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. I'm getting tired. It's past my bedtime.
No,
my
you're-
corona bedtime.
you're making sense.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Cool. Thank you.
I like the lyric. Me and all my friends. What was the lyric there? Me and all my friends.
It's like we're just now waking up.
Yeah, and then the one after that too was good.
Do you want
Yeah,
me
go
to say
ahead.
it?
Yeah, please. I forget what it was.
Well, me and all my friends, like we're just now waking up, been watching fine lines turn into lifetimes, years fly away from us.
Yeah, I like that part.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It all kind of hit me. I mean, the thing was floating around for a while, and then I was been having conversations with people lately about how this is affecting them and how it's making them kind of reconsider the pressures and anxieties
Yeah, that we put on
They-
ourselves.
that we put on ourselves. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
and so yeah, I mean, it is kind of celebratory,
Mhm.
I guess.
Yeah, I felt that.
But
for
I've
sure.
I've been thinking this could be a really interesting kind of reset, not just for society but for people. You know,
Yeah.
And it's gonna be fascinating to see what comes out of that. Who takes advantage of it? You know, I've been thinking about that a lot lately.
Yeah.
How are you thinking about doing that? Like band style, acoustic? I could hear it go like so many ways. It's got such a good feel.
Yeah.
I'm working on it. I don't know. I kind of my natural thought is like all things must pass, kind of.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe that's too. Maybe that's not thoughtful
I
enough.
hear,
I
I
don't know.
hear power pop. I hear like Badfinger or the Raspberries.
Hey, yeah, I'll take Badfinger.
Hell yeah.
I'll take Badfinger for 1,000.
The raspberry,
Barton.
man, that's a deep drop on the raspberries. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh yeah, too.
Yeah.
I had a question for the group. The idea of like writing something personal, but then it's sort of having a sort of a more universal or maybe a layered meaning, being more universal. Like, is that ever something that's a conscious thought, or maybe something that you go back and when you have this kind of like distance to re-examine, like you guys are saying, it sounds like a lot of people are going through and looking at older songs. Like, are you finding new meaning in some of your older material, like as an older version of yourself, for example?
I think for me, it's. I didn't really, as you read in my bio, I didn't really start up like a serious songwriting practice until a little over a year ago. Like I kind of tried to do it in high school a little bit, and then I kind of stopped. So it's interesting because for me, a huge part of that was like getting over myself and just feeling like I could be in those spaces with like the musicians and songwriters that I know, that I admire so much. And just like finding the confidence to do the thing. And so I really kind of pushed through that a lot last year. And it's nice to have some distance from some of the things that sort of like made it through that initial like birthing process, or that have stuck with me all the way through the past year, that I now am that are still being played, and I can look at them with a little bit less grip, you know, but that's like normal with any creative work that you give time to breathe. But
yeah, I wonder if that ever stops.
No, I mean, yeah, I think when
re-examination, you know.
Yeah, when you look back at something you made a while ago, and you can kind of see it slightly more objectively.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that has to do with the question you asked, Ryan. I don't know.
No, I think
cameo.
Yeah, I think that definitely touches on it.
I mean, so you know, I guess my answer to your question is like that's a thing that we always do as makers, is to kind of like when we look back at something, you can see it with a little bit more objectivity and perspective in the context of where you are now. And so that fits into this time, I guess.
Yeah.
As well.
I won't put anybody on the spot to answer this, but I'm just curious, like, if you had a batting average of how many bad songs do you have to write a good song, or how many bad verses does it take to get a good verse? Like, what's an average or a percentage to anybody?
I don't know if I believe that thing.
I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because it
comes out when it comes out.
Well, and I also feel like everything is
bad and good.
I think showing you something, and it doesn't mean that necessarily, like, if you were on Letterman tomorrow night, you'd want to play every single one of your songs. You'd probably go back to the ones that are kind of established, but the established songs are just kind of a dead version of you anyway. And I think there's something really exciting to just kind of like just risk that every song you write is important in some way, even if it's not going to be that great in other people's eyes.
Yeah, I've developed sort of a different opinion about that this year. Like, I think I used to think that it was like pulling a slot machine, and like whatever comes out that day, like I either got it or I didn't get it that day, and like whatever. But I don't really think that that's necessary anymore. Like, I think if you have a plan in your mind, like a vision, and just kind of chip away at it little by little, I think you can, I think they're all going to be pretty good, as long as like you can, keep inspiration going, and then also the craft of like actually working it, actually being honest with it, and just like, but I do know the thought of like, you have to write 10 bad songs to write a good song or something like that. But I feel like that sort of momentarily, or the momentary inspiration, it's so, it's lofty and it's hard, it feels too much like the lottery, and I think if you can just like store, find your little nuggets of inspiration, and then just like build really carefully off of those. And I think that it's kind of like building anything, like piece by piece, and I think you could probably be proud of everything you do in that way, like if that kind of that's just been sort of a thing that I thought about a lot when I decided to do it, just because it's like, well, what do? Just get lucky every 3 months or something? But like, if you can keep the inspiration, in your own way going, and then just build off of it with craftsmanship, I think that you can keep a pretty good batting average, is what it found, you know?
Everything I write is good.
I didn't mean to say that any of you have written bad songs. I was more speaking in the creation phase, like how many, the crumbled up pieces of paper that go in the garbage can when you're working on a song, but anyways,
I kind of like, I guess I when I start zooming in on a song, I kind of really, and then maybe that's why it takes me so long. Maybe if certain songs come out quicker than others, like a few days, like sometimes I can bang it out in a couple days where I'm like, I like all this, but usually it takes me a few weeks or something like that, or a few months or a couple of years or something like that. But I just keep kind of chiseling until I eventually like it. And I usually keep chiseling on it because I do like it, and I know it does have potential, and maybe I do futz around with the lyrics for way too long, or like, 2 verses and the chorus come out and really easily, but then like, or maybe through the bridge, but getting that 3rd verse out, like it takes me like a minute to like wrap it up. So I just keep chiseling until it becomes something that I like. And then past that, when you're starting to record it and play it and stuff like that, I feel like certain songs that I like strumming by myself, they take a while just to settle in with a band and stuff like that. And I don't always like certain songs played for a while until they really, really settle in. I kind of figured the ins and outs of playing them. So I just, my process is just, I find that I like certain songs the more I keep playing them, and they settle in, and I get comfortable with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think getting the production right for songs, for me, is much more difficult. Like that's, getting that marriage of song and production is something I'm still trying to figure out,
Yeah.
All right. Well, last but certainly not least, Barton, thank you for being very patient, and
Everybody's great. Everybody's songs are fantastic. It's been great to get a little inspiration. I most of my stuff has a lot of space in it, so I was going to play something spacey, and I got kind of a request, somebody to play something up tempo. So this is a new one. It was laying around for a while and finished it fairly recently, and just played it for the first time live a few months ago. So I haven't played it much, so hopefully the wheels don't come off. But this is called Always, and that's 2 words, always. You ready? Well, there goes the truth. Everybody's been set loose. You can turn them straighter faces, turn them in stranger places. So it's dangerous when you shoot the rest and watch it bleed. Now you stay with me and shake our brooms. The only thing we have to lose, so spot me out. No one is ever calling us down. Keeping the distance, piling up now. It's you and me out. Knowing what's there, looking for and set to bear. Turn the home, share everywhere. It's you and me out. Well, there goes our youth. Every dream's been set loose. Dreaming them
different stages, dreaming them at different ages now. So take just for me, for the rest we want to see. And you know someday they will see this was how it had to be. So smiling me out, no one is ever letting us down. Keeping the distance, piling up now. To the what's there, looking for them, what's there to repair, turn the hole, shame that we wear, it's you and the Following me out, no one is ever running us down. Keeping the distance, piling up now. To the out, waste out what's there. Looking for and what's left to bear. Turn the hole, the shame that we bear. To the
Nice.
Thank you.
What's that one called, Barton?
Allergy voice crack there. Always.
Always.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I feel like I had to do this, so I'm allowed to ask. But can you just say the lyrics to the chorus? Because I was having trouble.
Yeah.
I was trying to read your lips.
This is the mic, and some of it's the entire.
It did a cool like flanger thing with the guitar.
Yeah, it did.
It was
Yeah.
it was nice.
Yeah, this is a very old computer. It's follow me out. No one is ever running us down. We're keeping the distance, piling up now. It's you and me always.
Cool. Yeah, it's great, man.
Thank you. Yeah, for the moment, I thought more of the verses kind of reflect, there goes the truth. Every lie's been set loose, but they're telling them in stranger places, with straighter faces telling them in stranger places here. And then kind of the second set of verses, it was really about, like Ryan was saying earlier, it was supposed to be a personal thing, but the context, was let's take just what we need and grow the rest from one new seed. Because, someday I think we'll see this was how it had to be. You can obviously blow that up in the context of what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. It was nice to hear like a different, like Matthew's tune a little bit, but yours, and Emily's, I guess, like I can just hear like y'all going for it a little bit more. It's a little bit less of an intimate song, maybe more one that I can hear like being played, with a band. So it's good. It's cool that there was like a range in everybody's tunes, that it wasn't all just like confessional
Yeah.
stuff. So that's cool.
You didn't think mine was confessional?
I mean,
Well,
maybe in its architecture, but not in its delivery.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right.
well put.
Cool.
Barton, I always learned so much
Yeah.
about harmony from your songs. I just think that like even when you have like it reminds me a little bit of like Sting or someone like that. Even when there's like a very like almost sing-songy melody happening, there's always like these suspensions and things like that going underneath, and it's just really cool. I always feel like I'm never quite sure where it's landing, but it's always taking me along for the ride really well. I always learn a lot when I listen to your songs.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier about, how many bad songs get out the door before one? Like, as cliche as it sounds, I think you let the songs be what they want to be. It's like your child, and you know, you let them. I've had a lot that I've wanted to stifle because it wasn't what I like. This to me is like a shameless kind of pop tune. I don't really like too many of those, but I feel like sometimes if they want to be that, you just let them be that.
Totally.
You know, where you get into trouble is when you try to force them into a certain box that, you know, that you might want them in.
And it's kind of satisfying if you like, if something turns out not how you planned it, but it works, then you're like, oh, this kind of just like landed in my sphere of, you know, like it's kind of like, how did that happen? Because it wasn't the intention you went into it with, but yet it still works.
Totally. Yeah. It's not like you were saying with what's good and what's bad. I always feel like it's not for me to say. You just let it be, you know.
Yeah, Barton, on that idea that you think that's something that comes with experience, that knowing to just let the song be what it wants to be?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, and not only that, just, I mean, I'm sure all of us have the thing where you come up with something new, you show it to somebody, you know, whether it's another musician or someone in your band or a friend or a loved one, and the ones you think they're going to get super excited about, through the roof about, they're kind of not, and then they're through the roof about other ones you're not, you know, you're sort of on the fence about. So yeah, I think that as much as you can take yourself out of, you know, the judgment is good.
Yeah.
And the studio too, like Danny was saying, sometimes you don't, until you get, I mean, things become in the studio, obviously, sometimes something completely different. And some of that's about the moment, you know.
Barton, I have kind of a technical question, but the little guitar riff that you're playing in the chord, the ba ba da ba 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 da ba ba, did you come up with that and like sing the melody to it, or did you sing the melody and kind of?
Yeah, that was like a hook. I wanted something for that. And yeah, I kind of toyed with, you know, do I want to mirror that line vocally or do something more with longer vowels, something different, and kind of settled on where it is.
Yeah, it's really nice. It's really nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
I really like when when the vocal and the lead melody and the instrument, you know, matches. It seems to turn out well often, you know, if that makes any sense.
I actually usually don't like to do that, but yeah, when it works, it works. You know?
Well, I want to say thanks to all you guys again. Like it's been really great. I don't know if anybody, there's any things we've talked about that anybody wanted to circle back on. But I mean, I feel like this has kind of gone in a lot of great different directions. And, you know, I want to thank you guys for sharing and being so generous with your songs and kind of giving us a glimpse into them. Paul, I did want to ask you, because I know this is another area of practice for you, but do you have any sort of suggestions in terms of, for those of you, for those of us that are watching this, that might be struggling with trying to find a way to be creative and be in that mindset in the context of everything that's going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say not to force it. You know, I think one thing that's like creativity is something I think that can only happen when there's a certain, like when the volume on the chatter in your head goes down a little bit, and there are things you can do to help, you know, create a little more space and silence. But when there's a lot of anxiety and worry and agitation, it's not really going to happen, you know. Like the first week of the shutdown here in New York, I mean, I was just kind of like running around, you know, kind of like a chicken with my head cut off. And then I think there was a moment where I realized that I was like, I was still running around like a chicken with my head cut off after life was starting to settle. And so I think, you know, whenever you see that moment where there's a little opening where you can just be like, oh, you know what, maybe it's time to pick up my guitar and just kind of be still and be with what's coming up inside me instead of looking outward, then do that. But you can't force that. You know, that's going to come when it's going to come.